Great, I'll go first then. So Shanti, I'll address the first one to you if that's all right. So there was quite a lot of questions both in advance and on the chat around video and digital exclusion and kind of wider health inequalities. So what are the inequality issues with video and how are you addressing them in your work?
So this is something that we were really worried about because, as I said, we work in East London where 70% is from BAME groups and it's a very deprived population. So to start off with, we were very worried about how it would be accepted among the local population. And what we found was, surprisingly, and not so surprisingly when we actually looked at the data, so our broadband usage was higher than the national average. So it was 63% compared to the national average, which is 60% at that time. And actually, when we look back at it, we realize that's because a lot of people from diverse ethnic minority groups use broadband to keep in touch with family around the world. And so it made perfect sense that they might have broadband. We also then looked at our data and we found that what really mattered was age rather than ethnicity or gender, for example, or socioeconomic deprivation. So age was the biggest factor. And as part of scaling up, we have actually specifically been trying to address this digital inequality issue, for example, at Norfolk and Norwich, where compared to East London, where digital access is so much higher than Norfolk and Norwich, for example. And it was very low there, and Joe and people from my team and Trisha's team have been doing a lot of work understanding how this might be addressed. And I think things might change post-COVID-19 because a lot of people who hadn't been using online contact, for example, or were concerned about it, are keeping in touch with family around using online contacts. So it'll be quite interesting for us to go back and work with the same group. The other group that we've been working with are the interpreters, the bilingual health advocacy teams. So I don't know, for people who are unfamiliar with bilingual health advocates, they're constantly traveling around the borough, going from clinic to clinic, trying to provide interpretation services, and they constantly get wrung out of one or the other. So it's not really very convenient. It's not very comfortable in terms of environment impact. The efficiency is terrible. There are DNAs and they're waiting in various areas. So we've actually trained bilingual advocacy to join the call. And we think that might get around it. In terms of the elderly population who are not happy to use digital care, one of the things we're thinking of is maybe there's a room for people using community hubs or something else, if there is, because our data of the people who accepted it, 20% didn't have broadband access. Of the people who didn't accept, 20% didn't have broadband access or access to a laptop or computer at home. So we were wondering whether we might actually start exploring some community venues, GP surgeries, things like that. They seem to do that in various places like New Zealand, where people might actually come and access online care. Bob Gann from our Scaling Up team has produced a big report, which we can submit forward to the Health Foundation to put it on, around digital inequality and access.